Welcome to the Wild Enthusiasm for Living podcast. I am your host, Dr. Melissa Mann. Join me for conversations about possibilities and tools for having more joy, more play, and way more of you. What would it be like to wake up every day with a wild enthusiasm for living? Hello and welcome to the Wild Enthusiasm for Living podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Mann, and today we're going to be talking about that energy that comes up when you try to say something in a group and it feels like nobody's listening or nobody can hear you. So if that resonates for you, or you know anybody in your world that would benefit from this conversation, please go ahead and share this with them. So this came up recently. I was on a couples trip with a group of people, a large group of people, and my husband. And I don't remember the exact situation, but a group of people were talking, and my husband went to contribute to the conversation. And it seemed as though nobody responded or nobody heard him. And I watched him become frustrated and say, like, oh, I guess nobody cares, or something like that. And I said to him, I heard you. And then I got this whole download that often in that situation, when you're in a group of people and you go to speak and nobody can hear you or nobody seems like they're paying attention, it's because you're not an energetic match in that moment for them. You're actually vibrating at a different frequency. And it's not right or wrong. It's just that in that moment, they quite literally cannot hear you because where they're functioning from and where you're functioning from are actually different. Because I watched the scene happen and I'm like, man, that's so relatable. We've all been in that moment where we're in a group of people and we go to say something and it's like nobody heard you. Nobody turns and looks at you, or it's like they look at you for a second and they go on. And it feels awful. It's really deflating and it can feel like nobody cares or like what you have to say isn't important. And it can kind of be a blow to the self-esteem for at least that little bit of time. And I've certainly had that conversation and I've certainly had that experience. And I've watched other people have that experience as well. And watching this occur, I was like, but I can hear him. So what was that? And that's when I was aware of this is, oh, but I am vibrating at the same general frequency as him. Obviously, there's a wide range of frequencies that people function at. And typically, higher vibration is going to be things like excitement, enthusiasm, love, gratitude, things like that. And a lower vibration, things might be gossip or victimhood or frustration, things like that. So, I mean, obviously, there's a wide variety in between, but we all function from different vibrations throughout our days. And that's why this might be a group of friends that you still like and want to be around, but there's moments in time where you're not functioning from the same vibration as they are, for better or for worse, right? And it doesn't mean you're wrong and it doesn't mean they're wrong. You're just not at the same wavelength, quite literally. And so it's like you're speaking into the void because you're not on the same vibration and they can't actually hear you. So I bring this up now because we're about to go into holiday season where there's going to be all sorts of gatherings, right? There's work parties and friend parties and family situations where we're with groups of people and we go to talk. And if we're not functioning from the same vibration as the people in the room with us, we often are left feeling unheard or unimportant or like nobody cares. And I wanted to share this with you today because that's our first go-to reaction is the thing that we make it mean when that shows up. So I wanted to offer you a different perspective that what if it doesn't mean anything about you or about the group of people you're with? It just means that you're not functioning on the same vibration in that exact moment. And that's okay. So if you have that experience show up, you have that experience where you go to say something and it's like nobody heard you, instead of going into, well, I guess nobody cares what I have to say, what if instead you took a moment to yourself? And whether that means staying in the group or taking a break, going to the bathroom, going outside for a moment, and putting your hands on your heart or your belly or wherever that like crunchy feeling just came up in your body, and took some deep breaths and really breathed into that place in your body and got present with you and your own energy. Because immediately that knocks us out of who we actually are. And if we were at a higher vibration, it will knock us into a lower one. And if we're already functioning at a lower vibration, it can knock us even lower. So instead of making meaning around it and making it mean anything negative about you, take this time to breathe. You can ground. You can either go outside, get your bare feet in the ground, and if it's cold where you are and that doesn't work for you, totally fine. You can just imagine roots coming through the soles of your feet, rooting into the earth and connecting to the earth and receiving the earth's energy come up through you. And immediately that will give you a sense of grounding and peace. And then take some deep breaths, like I said, and just allow yourself that space before speaking again or re-entering the group, whatever it is that you need in that moment. And you might even say something to yourself, like, even if others can't hear me, my frequency is clear and true. And you know that for you, that this isn't about you. This isn't because you're not important or you don't matter or anything like that. And you don't have to let this ruin your day or put you in a bad mood or anything like that. Instead, you just take a moment and be like, oh, isn't that interesting? And just acknowledge it as a an interesting occurrence. And that's what occurred that in that moment with my husband and I, is that I was like, well, this is fascinating. What is this? Because it wasn't me, right? We can always see things so much clearer when it's not happening to you. But because I could see it from the outside, I was like, oh, he's just not functioning at the same vibration as them. And they're not functioning at the same vibration as him. So again, not wrong, just different. And I've watched this show up in so many ways over the years. I sort of had all these flashes show up with different things where I've had this experience, or I've watched other people get frustrated because they feel like nobody's listening to them. So they get louder, or they need to be the center of attention suddenly, because that's one way of reacting to this, is by getting louder, getting more in the center of the group, needing to turn all attention on you, where it becomes unavoidable, but it also sort of has this annoying frequency to it because it's like demanding to be heard. Where the other thing, of course, that people tend to do is retreat and decide, well, I'm just not going to talk the rest of the day. I'm just not going to be engaged in this conversation, which also doesn't contribute. What really contributes to you, your body, your experience, is to have this moment for yourself to get present. And then you make a choice. Is what I was going to say or trying to say, is it actually something the group needs to hear? Is it, important information about the plan for tomorrow? Is it important information about how we're going to go about, serving dinner? Is there something that the group actually needs to hear in this moment or not? And you have a choice here to be like, I'm just going to like sit this one out and I'm just going to listen and not make myself wrong and just be in my own energy. Or if there is something that needs to be said, we can handle that a little bit differently. So either way, I would start with creating a bubble around yourself. And it can be like a golden light or a white light or whatever pops for you, purple light. And just imagine a bubble around yourself that is emanating this light, and be in that space in your energy. That bubbles out all the external energy around you. So you're not picking up on other people's frequencies, other people's stuff, and you just get to be present in your own energy. And you can stay right there if you want to as you go through the rest of the conversation, the rest of the evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, that's fine. But if you do want to speak and you are needing to be heard for some reason, then you can allow little trickles to go out from your bubble of energy strands, if you will, that will connect every person in the group. And just imagine these little energy strands going out to everybody, and come into your heart and speak clearly, and just ask to speak in a way that the group can hear you at whatever vibration they're functioning from. And that's it. And then say what you need to say. And when you're done with that, You can either, cut all those cords right away and kind of retreat, or let them be as long as it's light and comfortable for you. If, you go home that night and you're feeling weird or exhausted, remember that you created these energy strands between you and everybody in the group, and you can go ahead and cut those now. So you can imagine like a large scissors coming through, or a sword, or just cutting all the energy strands that got created if any of them don't feel good, aligned, things you want to hold on to. I did a whole podcast episode on how to cut cords. And if you're interested in more on this topic, go back and listen to that podcast on cord cutting, because it's a massive contribution, certainly around this time of year when you're going to be around family and all sorts of different people. Because remember, we pick up on other people's energy all the time. So yes, of course, you're super connected to your mom or your siblings or people like that, and you can cut energy cords from them too. It doesn't mean you're not going to have a relationship with them anymore. It just means you're cutting all the negative, icky, old, resentful cords. And you're also picking up on the energies of everybody else in the room. So if you go to a big party and there's people there that are really under the influence of alcohol or drugs or things like that, you're picking up on those energies too. And you're also picking up on the energy of this person going through a divorce, and the person who's grieving their mom this year, or whatever else. You're picking up on everybody's energies around you. So when you go into a big space like this, make sure at the end of the day, you are cutting cords from anyone that you connected to that isn't a contribution to your body and your being. So as you go into all of this, just remember that you're not wrong. And it's so easy to judge ourselves when we get into a group. It is so easy to make it about us and to feel like I must be wrong. I must be doing something wrong, and people don't care about me, or I'm not important. Those are all the things that we tend to make these experiences mean. So please remember that none of that is actually true, that you are just in your own, you're having your own experience in this moment, in this day, in what's happening in your life. And if the group is sort of having a group experience, you might not always fit in with it. And that's okay. It doesn't mean anything about you. It just means you're just functioning in a different vibration from them in this moment. So allow yourself to also have the awareness, if this is coming up now for the first time, or the first time with this group of people. I've had that show up a lot where I'm like, what happened? I used to fit in with these people all the time, and now suddenly I feel like I don't. Also be aware that you might be expanding, increasing your frequency, jumping timelines faster, and in a different way than the people that you're around. I mean, I've had that show up a lot where people I used to really connect to, I suddenly don't feel connected to anymore. And it might even be a one-on-one person, like somebody you used to be really close to, and now you just don't feel as connected to them anymore. And you don't really know how to connect to them anymore. And you feel like you've done something wrong. It's that same thing of being like, are we just vibrating at different frequencies now? And have I been increasing my frequency? Have I been actively working on myself and clearing through old traumas, and not accepting the types of things that I used to accept as normal, but instead actually having a greater, more expansive life? Because one of the other things that we often do is we'll go back into a childhood home, or get around our family, or get around like an old group of friends. People all kind of come home for the holidays and they get together with their high school friends, or whatever that is for you. And suddenly you feel like you're that age again. And sometimes that age wasn't an age you really wanted to be at. And so you might feel like a child again when you get among your parents, or whatever that is. And to make sure that you're like, no, I'm going to stay in my own frequency here. I'm going to bubble myself and know what my energy feels like today, in this moment, in 2025. And maybe you'll listen to this next year in 2026, but wherever you are, remember that that's where you are right now. And don't allow yourself to go back to the version of yourself that you were 20 years ago or 30 years ago when you were friends with these people, or even if it was last year or 5 years ago. And It's just because you're always growing, you're always expanding, you're always leveling up, you're always changing. And we're supposed to do that. That's not wrong. But you may find yourself in groups of people where maybe they haven't changed in the same way you did. Maybe you didn't grow together, but rather you grew in different directions. This isn't about making anybody else wrong. It's just about acknowledging where maybe you're not growing in the same direction, or that maybe they're not growing as fast as you are. And that is okay. And if you find yourself in a room where somebody and you're like, wow, they feel really different or they've really grown a lot, also don't make yourself wrong for that. It's so easy then to be like, well, obviously they're doing great and I'm not. No, everybody's on their own journey in their own time, moving in their own direction, and that's all okay. So don't compare yourself to anybody else this holiday season or ever. Just start to acknowledge, like, okay, this is just where I'm at right now. And what can I be to be in my own energy? And how can I continue to expand? How can I continue to raise my vibration? What can I be grateful for, even in this exact moment, that would help me to feel more grounded, more me, and have a more joyful outlook even today? Gratitude is one of the highest vibrations there is. So if you find yourself in a funky mood or a funky spot, come up real quick with 3 things that you're grateful for right now in this moment, and that will immediately help you raise your vibration. And then, like I said, ground, take some deep breaths, and just let yourself have the moment that you need to have. And then do what works for you. Re-enter the group, listen, observe, and if it's hard to sit and like be in your own space, like I mean, stay within your own vibration, but you can always take the role of observer and really like watch how things interact, watch how people are, watch where they're functioning from. And I find that often if I don't feel like I fit in a space or in a group, that I really enjoy just sort of watching the whole interaction and not making it mean anything about me or about them, but being like, wow, isn't this interesting? And I'll often get way more insight about what's really going on. And that gives me a space of clarity and really freedom. Because when you can see the whole picture, you're like, oh, this isn't actually about me at all. This is just where everybody else is functioning from right now. And it's okay. So give yourself that. And of course, you always have permission to leave. If there's some place that you are and you're like, man, I just really don't want to be here. This does not feel good. Of course, it's always okay to be like, nah, I'm tired. I'm out. I don't feel good. Whatever you need to do, that's okay too. So take care of yourself. But I just wanted to give you this piece of information because I really just realized this in the last month or so of like, oh, that's what that actually is when nobody can hear me. So I hope this was a contribution to you. And I'm so grateful to have you here listening. Please share this with your friends, leave a 5-star review. And the more reviews you leave, the more you share this with people, the more these tools get out into the world. And that is really my target, is for more people to be happier and have a beautiful, wonderful life and existence. So I will see you next time. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.